this week of holiday celebrations, I just wanted to share with you a few quick answers to some of Glitter Girl's most frequently received questions, and those are all about organizing and storing your supplies. I think it's really important to realize there's no one right way to organize your supplies that will suddenly make all of us happy and efficient and economical. If there were one magic answer, there would be a set of instructions we could follow rather than a continuing discussion amongst crafters for how to store their stuff. What I do really believe is keeping things simple. And I think the most important thing is to make your storage work with the way you create. So working on a few typical projects and listening to the voice in your head as you create can really help you find the best way to organize your stash. Basically, if you work on a layout, ask yourself or listen to the voice saying, I need a die cut here, or this needs something blue, or that new collection from October afternoon would match this perfectly. If you let those thoughts guide the way that you store your supplies, then that will help you keep things in the easiest way so that you can find them as you work on each project. So if you think by, I need a die cut, then keep all your die cuts together. If you tend to think, I need something blue here, then put all your things that are blue all together, whether they be die cuts or brads or whatever. If you tend to automatically think of collections, then when you buy a collection, keep it all together in one zip pack or folder or something that will keep all of those different things together. And then that way you can find things in the best spot by knowing exactly what you're going to think as you look at the layout and know what you want to add next. It's also worth discovering if you're happier scrapbooking sitting down or standing at your desk. Working on your feet can seem like a little more effort, but it also means you're free to move about your space to collect supplies from different places. And maybe a rolling chair could be a really good compromise if you want to move around more without standing. And finding the option that suits your creative process can then help you figure out where in your space to store supplies by keeping the things that you use most closest to your workspace. And things that you rarely use can be kept at a greater distance because you're not going to go get them for every single page. I stand up to scrapbook, and in the desk that I use, I have a few drawers in the table itself. 3 of those drawers hold items that I use pretty much every single day. One has all my basic pens, adhesives, scissors, paintbrushes, that sort of basic tools. One has all my ink pads and acrylic blocks. And then a third one has thickers, letter stickers. And I know that seems a little bit extreme, but if you look at my layouts, I use thickers on pretty much every single page. So it really makes sense for me to keep them very accessible. Having them in the desk makes it easy for me to find them and get the right color because I don't have to walk away and take my project with me. My project's right there on the desk, and I can open the drawer and find a set that will match. But also it makes me a little more likely to put them away at the end of a project because it's less effort. I just have to open the drawer and put them back where I found them rather than take them several steps and put them in a file or anything like that. So for me, that's what works to have closest to me as I'm working. Then my next closest supplies are the things I have at arm's length. These are on a shelf next to my desk. It includes stickers, including flat letter stickers, labels, die cuts, and punches. I can access all of those things without having to walk anywhere. I can just grab them while I'm still standing in the same place. And these are the things that I'm most likely to add to my project as it's in the works. I don't have an extremely big collection of punches, and I try to keep to the shapes that I use most often, so that way I get the most investment from each purchase that I make. I love the look of a repeating motif across my pages, so that's why you'll see a butterfly punch here, there, and everywhere, but I'll use it in different colors and with different layers. And I like incorporating the same few punch shapes in different ways so that they almost become a little bit of a trademark. And that works for me to then keep a very small punch collection. But if you prefer more variety, it might be that punches aren't the best thing for you, and an electronic die cutter like the Silhouette Cameo might be a better investment because you could then cut a different shape for every single layout if that's what you would really want. 2 other elements go into every page that I make, and they're what I tend to choose first: photos and paper. These are close to my desk, but they're a step or 2 away. I keep my paper on 2 wire paper racks, and I divide my paper by manufacturers. I don't really think that that's a system that works for everyone, but what I tend to do is I memorize my paper collection at any given time. I know all the papers I have, and when I want to use something, I instantly think of it by manufacturer and collection. So sorting by manufacturer is the way I can go straight to that paper that's in my head that I want to use. But if you're not using your papers every single day, or you have a really extensive paper collection, then memorizing is probably the furthest thing from your mind and really not a good system at all. Instead, you might find that sorting by color is really useful, or by pattern, so you could keep all the dots together and all the stripes together and so on. Or you can sort them in a different way by mood or tone, like anything that's really quirky and whimsical can all go together. Everything that's quite elegant and grown up can go together. Anything that's a bit distressed together. It's definitely a case where listening to the creative voice as you make a project can really help guide your organization and storage, so that you divide all the papers based on the way you think as you're creating your page. As far as my photos, I order almost all my pictures as standard 4x6 prints, and I store them in the drawers of a dresser using tabbed file cards to divide the events. I personally don't like to stop scrapbooking to go select and print images and use a computer and use the printer. So ordering lots of 4x6 photos works for me, so that I always have something that's ready and I'm inspired to scrap just by flipping through the prints in the drawer. If you're more motivated by printing your images at home to a specific size and then scrapbooking them straight away, then it may be that photo storage is really not a necessity for you at all. With most every page, I start by choosing the photos and papers, and then I head to my desk to select all the other supplies. Sometimes I take all the supplies and pick them out all at the beginning, and other times I start with just a few and then I add more and more as I'm working on the layout. With individual items, I find that I use what I see, so I keep things in ways where I can see what options I have. I keep my stickers in magazine files, and a lot of smaller items I keep in Pyrex bowls, just big glass open bowls like die cuts, rolls of washi tape, and so on. I really don't like sorting further than that. I find that if I mix all my stickers together and all my die cuts together and so on, that just lets me find options that I might otherwise never discover. And it also keeps me using a real variety of things rather than just sticking to the same couple things that are at the top of the stack. It also makes putting everything away pretty simple. I wish that I was a little bit better at it, but it's as simple as I can get, that all die cuts just go back to the die cut bowl and all stickers go back to the sticker file. I actually do the same thing with scrap papers, just on a larger scale. I have a basket that sits at my feet while I'm scrapbooking, and whenever I have leftover papers that are no longer the full 12x12 sheet, the scraps go straight in that basket, no matter what size they are, what color they are, what pattern they are. They're all mixed together. They're not sorted for color, pattern, or anything else. And then when I know I need something that's smaller than a full sheet of paper, I can usually find something in the basket that will work. That way I tend to get more from all those papers that I start as a full sheet and just cut a little bit away from. I just keep going back to them in the basket of scraps. Each of the bowls and baskets that I have in my space also helps me keep a limit on collecting my supplies, because that's the individual space available for each type of item. If I want new die cuts and the bowl of die cuts is full, I either have to use some or I have to donate some of my collection to make room. I don't allow myself to start a second bowl for die cuts. Same goes for the basket of clear stamps and the basket of paper scraps and so forth. Each of those is its own determined space. And that way I don't end up with a collection that takes over my space and just takes up room rather than getting used. And I find that if supplies are just taking up room and I'm not using them, it can actually give me a creative block rather than inspiring me to make stuff. I regularly go through and donate supplies to a crafting group at a local children's hospital, and that makes me have no guilt about setting those things free. I'd much rather let someone else use and enjoy them than have them stressing me out because the supplies are sitting there and taking over too much space and giving me too many options. I realize that my organization answers are really, really simple. And I think often when crafters ask about what organization works best, they're really looking for a detailed system. I don't have a more detailed system than that. It might be that detailed systems develop over time, or maybe it's a personality thing, but I personally just love keeping it all really, really simple and not further dividing all of the supplies. Given the same amount of time, I'd rather use my time to scrapbook than to sort my scrapbooking supplies. So I just find I want to make things easy to find and quick to put away. Plus, each of us have our own special set of circumstances with space, be it if you're creating on the move all the time, you have to put your supplies away every time you craft, or sharing a space with other activities in your home. If you own your home, it can be it can be a lot easier to make some decisions because you can hang things on the wall and you can paint different colors and anything like that. But renters have to avoid nails and paint. So every single case will be different. But so is every creative process. So if you start figuring out how you create and then see if you can arrange your supplies to be at your fingertips while following that process, it may definitely take some creative thinking, but I think it will be worth your effort in the long run. Now, if you've found a solution that works, be it your whole room or just one specific area, I'd love for you to share it with us in the gallery this week. There's a special tag when you upload to the two-piece gallery that's just for scrap rooms, and that's in step 2 when you're writing the description for your project. So click that and so that it ends up in the scrap rooms gallery rather than in with all the scrapbook pages. And then also click the Glitter Girl Challenge in step 4 of the upload process so we can all see. Okay, so thank you for stopping by for a quick update during this busy holiday week, and do drop by next Wednesday for a very important announcement about 2013 here at Two Peas in a Bucket. Thanks for watching.
Join us next week for the continuing adventures of Glitter Girl and the ongoing mystery of the scrapbooker behind the mask at twopeasinabucket.com.